Myself Ananya Joseph. In this video, we are dealing with the National Park, Wildlife Sanctuary, and Biosphere Reservoirs. What is the biodiversity conservation? It means the protection and management of the biodiversity to obtaining the resources for sustainable development. So biodiversity can be conserving into different ways, that is in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. In this video, we are focusing on the biosphere reserves, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So, the national park and sanctuaries. The small or large protected areas are set aside exclusively for wildlife are called the protected area. Human activities like hunting, firewood collection, timber harvesting, etc. are restricted in these areas so that wild plants and animals could grow and multiply in the protected environment. This may help in preserving a considerable variant of life forms. Today, there are about 7,000 protected areas on the surface of Earth, representing about 5% of the total land area of our planet. It including the national parks, sanctuaries, biosphere reservoirs, etc. These all protected areas are different from one another in their size, purpose, and degree of human interference. National park and sanctuaries are usually meant for the protection of one or more species and their habitats. There are small reservoirs which on an average range between 100 kilometers square to 500 kilometers square. The boundaries of national park are usually well marked and circumscribed, but sanctuaries are often not well defined. Controlled biotic interference is permitted in sanctuaries, which allow tourist activities as well. In national park, tourist activity as well as a limited biotic interference on the outskirt or buffer zone may be permitted, but no interferences is allowed in the deeper interior or core zone of the park. In India, there are 39 national parks and 492 sanctuaries. They covered that 4.7% of the land area. National Park is an area reserved for the welfare of wildlife and activities such as forestry. Grazing and cultivations are not allowed there. These are the some important national parks in India and as well as in the Kerala. Uh, the Yellowstone National Park is the first national park, and the first declared Indian national park is Jim Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand. In detailing the wildlife sanctuaries is an area allocated for the conservation of animals only and is an area set apart of the preservation of wildlife under natural condition. In it, killing, hunting, capturing of any species is prohibited. In India, sanctuaries is usually established by an order or gazette notification of the state government. So the demerit of a sanctuary is that it can be denotified merely by an order or gazette notification of the state government. This is the main difference between a national park and sanctuary. The recommendations of the State Board for Wildlife, which such activities in a national park requires the recommendations of the National Board for Wildlife. Next is a comparison between the national park and the sanctuaries. And this is a list of some important wildlife sanctuaries in India. And this is an important wildlife sanctuaries in Kerala. And the last one is the biosphere reservoirs. These are the usually large protected area with boundaries more than 5,000 kilometers square in area. They are not meant for any species in particular but are intended to preserving a representative sample of entire biotic spectrum of the locality. The Man and Biosphere of UNESCO brought the concept of biosphere reservoirs in 1975. The biosphere reservoirs comprises of three zones, namely core zone, buffer zone, and transition zones. In the core zone, there is no human activities are permitted. On the buffer zone for tourism, gazing of the animals, and the transition zones are allowing human settlements and the crop cultivation. There are 14 biosphere reservoirs in India. First one is in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reservoirs, an area of 5,520 kilometers square, and it covers in the states like Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. There are total 243 biosphere reserves, which covering an area of 115 million hectares in 65 countries. And these are some important biosphere reservoirs in India. In Kerala, there is only two biosphere reservoirs are present, that is Nilagiri and Agastyamalai. The Nilagiri biosphere is the first established biosphere reservoirs in India. It came onto the effect on 1986. The Nilagiri subculture is a part of the Western Ghats, which in turn was declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 2012. The Nilgiri covers an area of 5,520 kilometers square. And thank you all.